Hello, thank you for coming to People First, Creating a Better Built Environment. I am Ellis Herman. I am a product manager at Forma, working on embodied and total carbon. I have spent a little bit over 3 years at Autodesk, and I have led the development of a couple of our other sustainability analyses. Generally, I am really passionate about making these kind of complex sustainability analyses accessible to all early stage designers. So today, we're going to talk about how we can create a better built environment that is more resilient as our climate changes, and one that prioritizes living conditions. So we're going to start with Forma's general value proposition, and we're going to talk about how our analyses allow our users to understand the impact of early stage decisions on basic living qualities. Then we're going to talk a little bit about how we use AI to make these workflows even easier and even more iterable. And finally, we'll talk about the carbon analyses that are currently available in Forma and the ones that are coming soon. So to start off with Forma's value prop, several interrelated factors are pushing us to rethink how our products meet customer needs, especially in today's industry context where demand for projects is high, and project complexity is growing, where cloud computing and advancements in AI and ML mean building projects generate mountains of data, but that data is often fragmented and inaccessible, and where the reality of remote work means that collaboration and data sharing is more important than ever before. But that current tools and approaches were designed with a different paradigm in mind. Now, we often hear from the industry that the reality of current workflows is fragmented. Architects and planners must navigate a maze of file formats, poor interoperability, and siloed data. And while modeling capabilities have expanded, existing processes are still highly manual with limited decision support. And between all of this, designers struggle to use tools that generate prohibitive levels of detail that are often housed in cumbersome desktop files and ill-suited to today's hybrid and collaborative work environments. Now, our view is that the best place to begin is at the beginning of a new project in early stage planning. This is when the design is most fluid, when architects and planners have to make decisions quickly and often without the data to support key project decisions, which have lasting consequences all the way through to the operational phase of the building. Here we see the McLeamy curve. And what this illustrates is that the stakes of these early stage decisions are really high. According to Skanska, more than 50% of a residential project's value can be realized in early stage design. Additionally, estimates say that up to 65% of a project's total greenhouse gas emissions have already been determined by the end of the conceptual phase of design. What this means is that key project decisions made at this point, such as building massing, layout, primary building materials, have lasting and impactful consequences. And as this design progresses into later phases of the project, those fundamental design choices become hard, costly, or sometimes impossible to change. Now, architects and urban planners have to navigate a maze of competing constraints and complexities driven by owner requirements, zoning rules, parking requirements, noise, daylight, the list goes on. And evaluating these multi-dimensional trade-offs can't be done by simple trial and error. And architects often lack the information they need at this stage to make informed decisions. So there is a massive opportunity here where better design workflows for planning and early stage design can support designers' creativity and efficiency during this phase when design choices are the most fluid. We can make these kind of insights and data that today require specialists accessible to all designers without technical expertise. We can increase efficiency by ensuring that the work done in this early phase feeds fluidly into detailed design without data loss. And we can free up valuable time and budget so designers can focus on their creativity and on the real value-adding work. Our solution to capture this opportunity is Autodesk Forma. Now, we're going to start with our long-term vision for Forma. While this vision will take time to become reality, our intent is for Forma to eventually expand across the AECO industry. And our long-term objective is to develop Forma as the industry cloud, to unify BIM workflows across the teams that design, build, and operate the built environment, and to enable data to flow seamlessly throughout project phases, stakeholders, and asset types. All of that said, our journey to realize Forma starts in planning and early stage design. And again, there is a massive opportunity to capture here. Over time, we will add more capabilities, targeting additional verticals and phases to deliver a unified AECO cloud. But our plan starts with data and building the critical data infrastructure to support user needs across industry segments and project phases. Now, Autodesk has already started on this journey with Autodesk Docs, and over time, that's going to be expanded with granular data capabilities, and it will become the data backbone for the entire AECO cloud. Then it's about building out new Forma capabilities to unlock more value from this data. Again, we're starting at the beginning of the project lifecycle, but over time we'll expand to detailed design, construction, and operations. As we expand, sustainability and driving an open ecosystem will be at the center of our approach. And as we go along, we'll connect our existing product capabilities to other Autodesk offerings and third-party applications. This will ensure hybrid workflows where new Forma capabilities can be leveraged alongside existing hero products without disruption to those workflows. So let's dive into the capabilities included in Autodesk Forma today. With the first Forma capabilities, we're bringing outcome-based design to planning and early stage building design. So rather than evaluating one proposal at a time, Forma will make it possible to work with many different proposals from different design solutions, all at the same time. The first offering offers a new user experience, making it possible to onboard and start using the capabilities without any extensive upfront training. Forma comes with automations and analyses straight out of the box, so anyone can do parametric design, anyone can analyze complex qualities like wind, microclimate, sun, daylight, without needing any technical expertise. And this offering is cloud native with browser-based access, fileless Revit sync, to ensure that the data flows downstream for continued detailed design. So now let's dive into sort of the meat of this presentation, improving living conditions. Here, I want to establish that we think sustainability is about both improving living conditions now and doing so without preventing future generations from doing the same. So in other words, sustainability is about people. In this section, or in this act, we're going to focus on the first half of that equation, designing spaces that are comfortable and accessible despite climate challenges and ever denser urban areas. So generally, we want to make iterable for early stage designers what previously required long feedback loops from specialists. And this touches on a central value for Forma, outcome-based design. By putting easy-to-use analysis tools in the hands of architects and urban planners from the very beginning of the design process, we allow them to understand the impact of those crucial high-level decisions when they're making them. That starts with basic living quality analyses, like sun and daylight. These are great examples because they illustrate why these analyses need to be part of the design process from the very beginning. Once you've established your building massings, it is costly and time-consuming to try to improve sun access in an important courtyard or to give apartment facades more access to the sky. Forma also provides a full computational fluid dynamics, or CFD, wind simulation. As climate conditions become more extreme, designers need to understand whether they're creating wind tunnels in what are intended to be important commercial areas like cafes or shopping streets, or whether they need to create wind shields in what should be a comfortable courtyard. This physics simulation is equivalent in complexity to what you'd find in specialized software, but it comes at no added cost in Forma. It automatically fetches local weather data and outputs speeds, direction, and comfort on ground. You can also enable streamlines like what you see in this image, which we think are really useful for client presentations and building narratives. Our noise analysis uses user input traffic data as an input to another physics simulation, allowing our users to see noise levels on ground, on facades, and on building roofs. The simulation is in accordance with the Kenosis standard in Europe, and our users often use it to make sure that their designs are in accordance with regulations about noise in outdoor area and on apartment facades. Now, what we really want to drive home here is that neither the wind or noise analysis requires any technical expertise to run. And again, that is the theme here. We want to make it possible for any early stage designer to understand the impact of their decisions on living qualities without needing the long and expensive feedback loops with consultants. So a customer story here. US-based firm Cube3 views Forma as central to their digital strategy. It helps to attract and retain talent, to foster collaboration between designers, and to shorten iterative design cycles with their customers. They estimate that Forma gave them over 50% time savings in conceptual design and provided a central project launchpad for their cloud-based digital work. As they said, the visual representations from Forma allow them to have more direct conversation with their clients about the best possible solutions. Our microclimate analysis combines our sun, daylight, and wind analyses with local weather data to help our users understand the perceived temperature on their sites. We think that this analysis is useful for understanding, one, the typical performance of your site, but two, how your site responds to increasingly common extreme weather conditions, and help our users see the effects of urban heat islands. And to that end, this tool is interactive, which allows our users to test out those different scenarios. It will automatically fetch the typical weather data. It lets you see the typical distributions of temperature and wind speed, stuff like that. But it also allows you to customize that. If you think in 50 years, it will be an average of 5 degrees hotter, you can use this to see that. One important clarification here is that this tool does not yet include the effects of ground materials, which are important. This is something that we are actively working on, and we hope to add to the tool soon. And this tool informs another important customer story. The Lake Flato architecture firm based in Texas used Forma to repurpose their existing office instead of building a new one. And in particular, they used our microclimate analysis to understand whether design strategies could help mitigate even Texas's extreme heat. And in the end, they were able to design courtyards that remain accessible even throughout the Texas summer. That's really amazing. Now, how are we using AI to make these workflows even more accessible and even more iterable for our users? Now, our rapid wind analysis is a machine learning model that is trained on the results of our standard CFD wind analysis. So in essence, this machine learning model predicts the results of that physics simulation. Now, this is crucial because our CFD wind analysis is a really incredible tool that gives non-experts access to some really detailed information. But it takes upwards of an hour to run, meaning that while it's great for reporting results or checking finalized plans, it is not ideal for sort of rapid ideating. So this machine learning model, on the other hand, gives results in under a second, which means that you can quickly see the effects of even small changes across your site. Now, similarly, our rapid noise analysis is trained on and predicts the results of our standard noise analysis. While our standard noise analysis runs a little bit more quickly than wind, it still takes 10 to 15 minutes. So, like our rapid wind analysis, rapid noise gives near real-time responses, which allows our users to iteratively adjust building footprints and test different wind directions with almost instant feedback. And lastly, carbon in Forma. So we have developed an AI-based operational energy analysis that gives results in under a second, which allows our users to iteratively experiment with building forms and building materials. We think that this analysis not only informs the user, but helps to build some of that intuition that an energy expert would have. Again, this analysis is a machine learning model that is trained on thousands of basic building forms and Revit Insight energy simulations. By extracting geometric features like compactness and orientation from your building, along with a few simple user inputs like window to wall ratio and insulation values, we can almost instantly predict a building's operational energy use. And again, we think that this type of analysis is ideal for early stage planning. It cannot capture the nuances of your building like later stage models will, but it gives you accurate relative feedback on the high level features of your designs while you design. Our solar energy analysis combines our sun analysis with local weather data to help you understand the potential that your site has for energy production. Now, the point that we want to drive home here is that while some of our analyses, like our operational energy analysis, are technically innovative, simply by incorporating existing tools into the application with a whole suite of analysis, we can make them an accessible part of the earliest stages of design. Early this year, we will launch our embodied carbon analysis in collaboration with the EHDD team behind the Epic web app. The URL is on the left of the screen here, if you want to check that out for a preview of some of that functionality. This analysis will focus on making embodied carbon analysis accessible to all early stage designers, regardless of their carbon expertise, and helping them to understand the impact of those crucial high-level decisions like envelope types and building massing before it's too late to change them. After embodied carbon, we will work towards combining embodied and operational carbon with our solar panel analysis in order to give designers a comprehensive view of the impact and the trade-offs of those early phase design decisions. How much operational carbon can you save with increased insulation, but how much embodied carbon does that cost you? Understanding these trade-offs is in many ways the fundamental value that we think putting them all in the same app provides. And we expect this analysis to become available to users sometime in the second half of 2024. Now, all of these are starting points for a larger project-long focus on carbon. Our goal in Forma is to inform the incredibly impactful high-level decisions made at the beginning of projects, and to start a conversation that continues throughout the project lifecycle. We are continuously working with Marta Bouchard, who gave one of the keynotes, as well as other Autodesk teams, to make this process an accessible and coherent one. Now, at the end of the day, we want to stress that we understand that no one is designing a site just for maximum sun. You need to fulfill floor area requirements, you need to have comfortable outdoor spaces, and you need to create high-performing buildings that still get good evening sunlight. Again, it's about understanding the trade-offs. And that's the point that we really want to drive home here. Sustainability is not just low carbon. Sustainability is the successful balancing of all of these criteria, living conditions now, and analyses that help you create sites that don't compromise our future. Thank you very much. And now we can move to the Q&A.
Fantastic.
Very nice. Thank you, Ellis, for a nice presentation. That was really good. And Ellis couldn't be here to join us on the Q&A, but we have Espen and Justin here that will be answering questions that we got. And I have some questions actually that I would like to ask you guys. How are you expanding from what Forma is today towards the vision of an industry cloud for all of AEC?
Thanks, Kim. So Ellis painted the broad strokes here, that we want to expand into more verticals and move further downstream in the planning process. But more concretely, I think that one of the most important things we're working on at the moment is making Forma able to handle richer models, so richer internal representations in Forma, because that will enable not only for us to be more specific about things like material choices for buildings, but it will also enable us to have a richer and more complete transition into later stages of the design. So the richer we can make the models in Forma, the more high fidelity the transition and work into later stages can become.
I totally agree on that, what Espen's just said. I mean, I've watched Forma eagerly, before the acquisition, during the acquisition, and where we are today, and it is staggering the progress that the team has delivered over the past months, year. You know, absolutely, it's, you know, richer data models. We've already seen, if you like, the consummation or the integration of the Formit technology coming in to enhance the modeling capabilities. That's already, we've seen as part of the platform building out. You know, that's just one stage. Now we have the carbon assessment coming in, so you can see the integration with insights and so forth. So yeah, great steps have been made, and it's in rapid development, and I'm super excited to see what happens over the next 12 months. It's, yeah.
Absolutely, and the development of Forma and how the new features are coming, like almost every week with new functions and functionalities, like going in a really rapid tempo, and it's very interesting to follow it. Is one guy that answering, is Forma included into the AEC collection now? How is this? You can buy it separately, or you can have it through the AEC collection, which is a package with, as you know, with Revit and other type of software included. But I don't know, you guys want to answer that too?
You don't know, Aspen, or?
Maybe you can answer that, Justin.
I was hoping Aspen would on that. Aspen would on that. Yeah, to be honest, I am not. I fully.
I can.
Okay, I can
answer or not.
Yeah, so Forma is available in the AC collection.
It is, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And it is also available as a freestanding offering for users who don't have the collection. But for users who have the collection, they're since, let's see, I don't quite recall when it was made part of the collection, but the summer or something like that. Since then, it's freely available for anyone who has the collections from before.
Yeah.
And also the price on Forma has been really reduced. Like 1 year ago, it was like £4,000, or now it's down to, you know, around under £2,000. So it's also really reduction in price, and means that everybody that really needs this as an early stage tool can have the great possibility to join meetings with their customers in the early phase over a cup of coffee and start to talk about things that were like utopia some years ago, and really get the good conversations on big areas where you share, for example, the land with 3 other builders. You can easily collaborate better together and see how you can develop that area in a more efficient and better way. And actually, me as not a great user of Revit or any of those tools, I have tried myself in Forma for some small project with my colleague, and it's so great fun how you can manage to create early phase projects in like 1.5 hours. You can really start to work on things that, and of
It's
course, you have to,
intuitive. Yeah, it's totally
it's
intuitive,
really great.
and it's fun. You know, we all want a bit of fun in our work life. and Forma is one of those tools. I think that, like with Fusion, it's one of that, you just pick it up and you can just immediately start being productive. And yeah, there are absolutely some training that you may need to undergo to get the full benefit out of it. Absolutely. But nothing stops you picking up and yeah, just starting to play around. It's super intuitive.
Definitely. I also have another question. You know, when you make this sun analysis, does it take in concern, you know, the mountains and the vegetation around when it comes to those analyses?
So it takes into account the terrain that is and the objects that are included in your scene. So what you can see essentially is what you get. We have had some experiments for how to try and incorporate the effects of terrain further away. So this is really only relevant for very hilly places, but we did have an early example from the north of Norway, I think it was in Bodø, where there actually are very high mountains that are outside of the kind of site area, but still close enough to have an impact. We don't have a catch-all solution for this yet, but it's one of the things that we're working on. So that's a good thing to keep in the back of your mind, that if the 2x2 kilometers or 4x4 kilometers site, if you know there are very tall things right outside of that site, you should either try to reshape the site to include those, or you should be very aware that there might be some effect from it.
There are other solutions, and this is where, you know, your point, Kim, around the AC collections, the power you have an array of tools, you know, and you get value by using as much as you can out of them. So that particular scenario, I had one where I was looking at wind turbines, which are extremely high. It was a hilly area as well, and it was line of sight. And it would be the same thing for solar analysis. So I used InfraWorks. Now, there's nothing that stops you from going from Forma to InfraWorks if you want to bring some of the building data across. You can do that. And InfraWorks allows you to analyze a much larger area visually and ascertain, you know, line of sight, shadow studies, all of this. Now, it's not going to give you the solar radiation that Forma does if that was what we were after. But if you want to see whether or not direct sunlight is going to reach a certain building because of a mountain or it's going to be blocked, use a combination of the products.
Yeah. Thank you. I have a question from a person here that asked, what if the buildings around is changing? Then the analyzers can the analyzers take that into consideration? If the buildings around is changing,
yeah, I mean, is the question, so is it the question that when you're bringing in the existing building information, is the question how often is that being updated?
I think so. I think that's the question. Yeah.
Right. That one, I would have to let the Forma team answer that question, because I don't know the data it brings in, how the frequency of that, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, that isn't something that can be answered in one fell swoop, because the data sources vary. Yeah, so depending on depending on where you are, you might be getting that data from different sources, and we're kind of at the mercy of those sources and how often they are updated. However, what you can always do is to work from the data that you get, which will usually be the situation today. And if you know that there are changes coming, you can reshape the buildings to accommodate the future situation that has been planned.
Yeah. Another question, you know, it's so many things that are included into Forma when it comes to sunlight, wind, microclimates. You have a lot of tools that are included into Forma. And I'm just wondering, when it comes to, you know, when you choose an area where you want to start your project, you know, at least for now, when I went into Forma, now they don't take money for the map that you're starting to shape on yet. But is that included also in Forma, that when you find the area that you want to start your project, that you don't need to pay for the map? Because that's also one really good benefit on top of all the other things that Forma can do, you know. I don't know if you guys know about that, but it seems like it's for free now, at least. I don't know how it's going to be for the future. But
You want that one, Aspen?
Sure. So again, in general, the availability of the data is a point where we'll always have to work with the different sources. But correct me if I'm wrong, Justin. I'm pretty sure we for terrain, for instance, we have global freely available data.
Yes, absolutely.
We also have global free data for buildings, but that isn't as high fidelity as what you could get in some local places. And one of the exciting aspects of something that's a huge priority for us at the moment, which is opening more up the kind of the backside of Forma, allowing people to work directly on APIs and build things into Forma. One aspect of that is allowing data providers to hook into Forma and provide their data for a charge, of course, because if they have really good, valuable data, then they want to get something out of having that data. But our hope is that this means that in any city where there are excellent data sources, maybe the owners of those data sources can make them available in Forma, and hence you wouldn't only have the free data that has a certain level of fidelity, but you could also have kind of premium data available.
Yeah, absolutely. The data you can bring in for free, depending on the country. You know, in the UK, for example, I can go to a government website and I can download LiDAR data that's going to give me a greater fidelity, but it's still probably, I don't know, 2 to 5 meter contour. I can access something like Blue Sky, and I can pay to get, you know, down to 0.5 meter to 1 meter kind of meter contours information of LiDAR. Or I did a project recently where I carried out the reality capture using drones. And, you know, we brought that data in, and then we're talking, you know, a couple of 100 millimeters of accuracy because we controlled it. But you only need to bring that in for a specific area around a specific building. You know, it doesn't really make a huge difference if you're doing various types of analysis further away. It's you know, it's not really that, you know, that relevant, I guess.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. Now I have a question from Anda. She says, great presentation. Is it possible to see how old the data is or when it has been updated the last?
Yeah, so where in the part of Forma where you can bring in data from different data sources, we link to those data sources so that you can kind of visit their sites and see kind of all the information that that is available.
Cool. And actually, I have one question from myself because I was talking with a customer during a presentation, and I don't want to throw you out on thin ice there or something, but it's on top of the buildings. You have a big area, and in the sustainability programs and stuff like that, it's also very cool to be able to develop things on top of buildings, like, for example, a grill area with benches. You have trees, plants, you have stuff like that to create a green environment that is really cool on top of buildings. But do you know if that's something that is on the way and going to be developed in Forma? I think PT, it's not there, but have you heard something about that? I'm just curious.
It's one of the things on our long list of things we would like to do. So I'm not in the specific team working on that analysis, so I can't speak for their current priorities. But I know it is on the list, although I don't know how high it is at the moment.
I've put my own requests into the Forma team as well. I said the ability to do rainwater catchment analysis on top of rooftops and car parks would be fantastic. So let's see if they listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see we have a couple of more minutes around till 3 o'clock at least. So
and again, don't forget. I was just going to say, don't forget the suite. You can go from Forma to Revit and then back again. So the modeling capabilities in Revit, obviously, you far surpass Formas in terms of that aspect. So again, you can continue to model, and I actually did that with a city model where we were looking at putting in earth berms to reduce noise, and I showed it in my example in the keynote, and that was done using a combination of Forma and Revit and going backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
Now, would I love the capability in Forma? Absolutely, and I'm sure the team will continue to develop and provide us with that kind of functionality. But we do have a solution, and that's the great thing.
Thank you, Justin. That was actually one question I had, because I understood that was a quite new feature in Forma, that before you were able to, take data from Forma and into Revit. But now in the last, I don't know, months, you are also able to go the other way and say that I want to link an EFC file from Revit into Forma again. That's some new feature. So it's like we talked about, it's a constant development on the product.
And that one feature, I was talking to a former person and saying, God, I wish you had this. And they went, we just launched that. It's like, can't keep up with them.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's really great.
Yeah.
Let's see. When should I use AI analysis, and when should I use, the regular type of analysis? When?
Speed.
Maybe you can answer that, Espen.
As Ellis said,
or Justin, if you.
Yeah, either way. I mean, on the wind analysis, I use that a lot, because if you're doing a cityscape and you've got lots of buildings and terrain, then running a full wind analysis can be an hour. I want that information. I want to play around with the lines and different direction, all of this kind of stuff. So yeah, fine, kick that off, get it going. But if I want to see immediate results, absolutely using the AI, the rapid analysis is where it's at.
Cool. Another question. When you make this sound analysis, does it Forma take in consideration? I know that the cars and the traffic are like into the analysis, but like train, trams, are those things also included into the sound analysis?
Trains has that just been launched? I think that was an update recently, wasn't it, Espen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can add road data with cars, and you can add rail data. And those are the two different types of noise sources that you can add. And generally, you would have to add this data yourself. There are a very few places where we're able to fetch such data automatically, but in general, that would have to be user input at the moment.
But again, I've done that. I've brought data in from Toronto, and then I've done it manually. And it's super fast. You pick a road, because the roads are already, they're brought in and highlighted. You can just select them and what is the amount of cars, time of day, and yeah, it's quick. It's quick.
Okay, guys. I don't know what you think. Should we wrap it up? It's 3 o'clock, and if it's no more questions, I really want to say thank you to everyone that participated into the webinar and hope it was useful. And yeah, if it's any more questions, you can just deliver it to NTI, and we will be able to answer it for you guys and come back to you with the answer to your questions.
Cool.
So
thanks, Kim. Thanks, Espen. And thanks everyone
Thank
for
you.
listening.